Well, it's about time we talk about this issue. This is the BlackSonattaCC. I created this clan with the help of my friends Mary and Knight Anderson in 2022. Ever since then, we swore to make the most supportive, creative, and entertaining community ever. We hosted events every single day, donated millions of qubits and prizes for players from all walks of playthroughs, helped hundreds of players establish their place in the game, and overall created a consistent, reliable, and high-quality source of entertainment and content through events. Now, the reason that I did all of this is because I truly believe that Cubic Castles was an underappreciated game. Every time I would see people comment on how bad the game is and how its community is greedy and money hungry, and that just didn't resonate with me. 2 years have passed since then, and I rightfully stick to those very vows that I had shared. However, all of the efforts that I have put in making this game feel better just didn't seem to have an impact. How come I have poured all of my mental and physical health into making this game feel good, and it still doesn't feel good to play? I really doubted myself in that moment, thinking that I didn't try hard enough or that I did something wrong, but I finally came to a conclusion. And it was not something that I wanted to realize. Cosmic Cow does not care about Cubic Castles. It's probably a little bit of a crazy statement to be heard from me, but I genuinely have good reason to believe this. In December of 2023, Cubic Castles release was considered by many to be the worst event in the game's history, the Christmas Peppermint event. The title came from the event having some of the worst odds for getting the special blocks in comparison to other events such as Halloween Ghost Hunt from the same year. That was a trend that we ended up witnessing with the next couple of events, such as the Valentine's event for 2024 that featured even worse item odds. However, the Easter event for the same year that presented better odds for getting the event items didn't have a good reception, and the reason for that is because there's just not as many players to participate on the event as we used to have. Cubic Castles events always had a big sense of community that held them together, in the sense that oftentimes the community joined in to understand the event and be able to enjoy it to its fullest, and that sentiment was completely lost once the game lacked an active and aspiring player base to participate in it. The Steam charts for Cubic Castles show that between the release of the Valentine's and Easter events during February and March, Cubic Castles saw a total of a 16% decrease in its player base. Ever since those events, the developers have completely given up on trying to do another one. We have gotten the Rain Summer event now, but the event is being coordinated by Will rather than Cosmic Cow devs themselves. The point is, we have gotten to a point in Cubic Castles where Cosmic Cow really stopped caring for the game, and I don't mean it only in terms of events. On January 2nd of 2024, Sir Cuberth did a forum post asking players for ideas on how to streamline Cubic Castles and in which areas of the game to focus on. When it was posted, this was seen as a big stepping stone for Cubic Castles. For the first time in years, we've seen the main developer of the game finally take control of the game and making it better, and everyone was hyped to see where that would go. Ever since that announcement has been made, 8 months has passed, and we have seen absolutely zero progress made. Matter of fact, ever since that post, the forums and the wiki were taken down, 2 exploits and cheating scandals have taken over Cubic Castles, resulting in 2 separate rollbacks, and more players have quit the game due to the lack of development and care that Cosmic Cow has showed. This has shown that, in the eyes of the community, the developer team seems lazy, unattentive to the game situation, and that they don't care about their game. And I genuinely don't blame those players. In my opinion, and I really want to emphasize that this next period of the video is completely my opinion, I genuinely believe that there is a lot of elements in the game that could have been improved on these 8 months. For instance, we have an in-game report system that has been broken for the past 5 years, which would solve so many issues in regards to player behavior and scamming had it been worked on. That fix alone would make the game exponentially better. I could go on rambling about what they could have worked on, but point is, I believe they put their focus on the wrong thing. Instead of taking the time to listen to player feedback and develop more quality of life features that players have been asking for ages, they went for making mediocre after mediocre events, with packs that only had a few more wearables, with most of them being recolors of other wearables, in a seemingly last-ditch effort to make as much money as they can before the game inevitably shuts down. I know that Cosmic Cow developers are busy with real-life occurrences and that they may not have much time to work on the game, but putting your already limited developer time to implement more low-quality wearables and boringly grindy events instead of fixing your own report system just feels so dishonest with your community, and I really didn't want to think that way, but I understand now why people say that Cubic Castles is a dead game. It's a game that just feels dead to the eyes of the developers. With all that being said, another question might arise from this discussion. Why do we still play Cubic Castles? Obviously, I can't speak for everyone in this fact, but from my experience, I can say for a fact that the Cubic Castles community is one of the biggest factors for why this game is so fun. A lot of people might say that the community feels dead because there's not many players that are around, but this can oftentimes be more of a blessing than a curse if we are considering community experience. The reason for why is that by having a smaller community, the players within that community tend to know about each other more easily since the group of players isn't quite as big. That makes it so that not only you can stand out more just by doing something that's a little more unique, but it also makes it so that if you get a bad reputation in the game, the percentage of criticism you will get will be overwhelmingly bigger than that of a bigger community, where what you do may not get as much attention. That is a trend that we have seen happen from time to time. For instance, in the exploit issues we had over the last few months, the players behind those were quickly criticized by what they did, as it has happened with many other players who have done bad things in the past. That is also the reason why event hosting is so popular in the game. It's very likely that if you host a good enough event, the entire game will stop just to participate on it. Looking at the data in a poll I conducted on the Cubic Castles community Discord server, almost 1/3 of the 37 members that answered the poll said that community-driven content is the reason why the game still holds up. The issue in here is that, while the community does work its best to keep being entertained into playing the game, the developers do not, which is exactly why the game has constantly seen a decrease in players over the past 3 years, and why out of the 37 votes from that post, 6 of them say that Cubic Castles is dead. To put it short, Cubic Castles has a very strong hook, paired with a very supportive community, but once the players realize that the game doesn't get as much attention as it needs, the hook begins to rust and the bait falls off, and a hook with no bait will never catch a fish. In the end, one final question still remains in need of an answer. What can we expect for Cubic Castles going forward? In the way I see it, if the game keeps on the way it is, I don't expect it to be going very far. What I'm about to say might sound like a hot take, but I genuinely believe that Cubic Castles should shut down. The game has been released for 10 years now. This is an accomplishment that not many games get to experience. But what that means is that Cubic Castles doesn't have much time left. Think of it as a 100-year-old on his hospital bed. He's most likely got a life support on him with a body as brittle as glass as he watches his life perish due to old age. Do you really think he's having a good life, or do you think he deserves the peace of mind of being able to peacefully rest for eternity? Cubic Castles is the 100-year-old. A 100-year-old that has been unfortunately abandoned by its family and that people are slowly starting to forget about. In an industry where only a very few selection of games have the honor of being called timeless, Cubic Castles deserves to be crowned as a game that got so close to stand the passage of time, but has fallen so far from grace that now all it can see is its own demise. Just as the saying goes, you either die a hero or live long enough to become a villain. In my opinion, Cubic Castles should die a hero. With this game being so close to its very expected fall-off, my departure is much closer than you think. I'll see you guys in the next video.